Hey everybody, we're back at That Life, Dorchester's only hyperlocal podcast with news, commentary, and analysis. We're still in our studio space, but you guys haven't sent us any Dorchester merch, so feel free to throw something on the wall. Luckily, we got a few things that we found on our own, but we'd love to have your Dorch flair as well, so feel free to send things to us. This week we are doing the normal setup. No mayor this week. We have Bill again. Great to have Bill as always. Forry from the Dorchester Reporter and Seth Daniel is coming with him as well to talk news and headlines. We're going to talk about Blue Hill Avenue again, the Haitian TPS status situation, Neponset River, Cedar Grove Nail Salon, some other things, so stay tuned for the news. The interview this week is with Erica Stocks, who is with the Polish American Citizens Club and the Polish American Heritage and Community Foundation. I got my Polish Triangle merch on. We're going to talk about the Polish Triangle. We're going to talk about Dyngus Day, which is Monday, if you're not familiar, and just a lot of things to do with the Polish community here in Dorchester. And this week's Tiny Dot concert is with a band called Gimmick. Make sure you stay on and give them a listen. All right, let's get to it. Hey, everybody. Welcome back for the news segment this week. We are lucky enough to be joined by two folks from the Dorchester Reporter, both our good friend and regular Bill Forry and our periodic guest, Seth Daniel.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Hi, guys.
Hey, also a good friend. Right, Seth? We're still friends?
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, right. Let's see how this segment goes.
Yeah. Well,
It's up in the air.
Bill's repping Boys and Girls Club of Dorchester over there.
Always.
Got my Polish Triangle sweatshirt.
That's
on.
pretty cool.
I like
You're
that.
repping Nike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm representing the weather.
Great. Yeah, we had a couple days where it was like lovely. And then
I'm sick of it.
we had
I'm sick of what's going on right now.
we had a 32-degree drop. Did you see that? 30
Yeah.
from yesterday? Yeah.
I know, there was like a point where it was really warm, and then it was just really windy and cold.
Yeah. And rainy.
It feels like it still could be December, and it's April something or other.
Yeah.
Now.
It's pretty
And
awful.
but that's okay. You know, we're still plugging along. And Erin, I have to ask you: have you recovered from last week's interview with Mayor Wu?
I have. It's been great to go back and revisit it, you know, when I'm doing the clips and stuff. She was great.
I especially like the part of the clip where you asked her about how do you survive Boston being, you know, dealing with all these obnoxious Boston sports fans.
Mhm.
And she's like, wait a minute, sister. I'm one of those people.
If you didn't notice, I didn't linger on that one very
I
long.
didn't see you post that one on social media, Erin. It's still time.
Speaking of sports, Sabres are currently at 100 points.
Sabres.
Well, you can't sneer when we're ahead of you.
So
What about Eiffel?
Eichel,
Eichel, yeah.
he's in Vegas now.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Yes, Bill.
you know you could take the mayor's advice and pick at least one Boston team to talk about occasionally.
I
and maybe
will.
not brag.
I'll be a fan of FC Legacy. How about that?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
That's not going to be popular with some of the
I know.
Dot Life folks.
This is-
They're getting a shiny new stadium. How can I not like them?
I think they'll be very happy to have your fandom. But, you could extend that out maybe to one other existing team that's already playing in the city right now.
If you want me to say I'm a Celtics fan, I will, but that doesn't mean I know anything about basketball.
That's fine.
That's right. Seth, you usually bring relics when you come on, but
Yeah.
not today.
Nope.
So you spent some time with some relics this week, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, which is the new Navy sub and the oldest Navy ship in the war fleet, I believe.
Yeah, in the fleet, yeah.
Old-
Oldest commissioned
Yep.
ship.
Before we get to that, we're going to talk about a potential development project that's a little contentious down in your neck of the woods-ish.
Cedar Grove.
Cedar Grove,
area.
Lower
Yep.
Mills area. We've got an update on Blue Hill Ave, talking about the Haitian TPS status, which there is a pending update there, and then a little art show that we want to mention. So where should we start?
I guess we're going to start with nail salons because everybody's like,
So many in Dorchester.
yeah,
Can't be
apparently.
enough. There can't be enough.
And first of all, let me just, do
Yeah.
you get your nails done? Like, do you go for mani-pedi
I
type
go
deal?
for Petty's, but
Okay.
I go to Lynn Spa on
Mm.
Adams.
That's
Right.
a popular
It's
one.
great. Yeah.
I mean, everybody in Dorchester, not everybody, but a lot of people are going to get
Yeah.
their nails done in the neighborhood already. And that's part of the objection, I guess, to this project that let's talk about it now. And it's been a lot of movement on our website about it and on social media. people are pretty upset with an idea of transforming what used to be Cedar Grove Gardens on Adams Street into a nail salon. That's the proposal that's been brought forward by the new owners of that property, Peter Lee and his son Stephen. And they had an abutters meeting on Monday, which, by the way, was preceded by a story in the Reporter last week in .news, which went neighborhood viral, at least, with people in that part of the neighborhood very surprised and kind of angry that that was the next use for this corner lot at the corner of Milton Street, right across from the gates of Cedar Grove Cemetery. I'm sure most people listening know exactly what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Wait, can you back up and tell us, like, so it was Cedar Grove Gardens, and then, but he didn't own the building.
What happened was Richard O'Mara, who owned the building and the site and the business for more than 40 years at that location, decided to sell that property and do a lease back for a period of time for about 5 years. So he sold it in 2017 and then vacated the site in 2024, January 2024. He ended the operations there, vacated the site, and it's been empty ever since.
Okay.
And Richard O'Mara has since reopened, as we've discussed on the pod, in a new location across from Asmont Station on Dorchester Ave, and seems to be doing well. It's
nice
a storefront,
spot,
much smaller, but lovely and in Richard's style, very well appointed. And,
antiques.
Yeah.
Antiques.
And that's what it used to be like in the old Cedar Grove Gardens building. And then, of course, the grounds were beautifully gardened and were always the yard was always filled with perennials or Christmas trees or whatever, and always looked great. And for the last 2 years, it's sort of deteriorated. And the new ownership, the Lee family, has let it go a little bit. And I think part of the reason people were kind of pissed on this call is like they were used to this being like kind of a jewel in the neighborhood for 40 plus years. And also has a lot of sentimental value. That's where people would go to get their wedding florals done, or whatever special occasion in their lives. A lot of times they were passing through those doors, and or going across the street, and that's where their loved ones are buried. So, a lot of sentimental attachment. This is not your average, corner lot in Dorchester. It has a high profile.
It's otherwise pretty just residential. I mean, I guess the cemetery isn't residential. Well, kind of is.
That stretch of Adams Street is residential.
Yeah.
And actually the lot in question, 911 Adams Street, is also two-family residential zoned. So Richard O'Mara, as he's pointed out, had to go and get a variance from the zoning board like back in the 1970s to open there. And he did successfully. But he said, look, some of y'all neighbors didn't want me at the time either. And it worked out, pretty well. Interestingly, he did comment on our story and said, he doesn't support the nail salon proposal.
Oh, really?
But he wanted to give him a fair hearing. And he noted that he also had resistance back in the 70s to his business. But Monday night, kind of told the story of what is likely to happen, which is, pretty much 99% opposition to the nail salon idea.
This was on Zoom, right?
It was a virtual meeting. About 70 plus people were on the call, which is a lot for an abutters meeting.
Really?
And the word had gotten out, obviously, that it was happening. And I have to say, this was the first stop. In order to get a variance, you'd have to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Why does it need a variance if he already had a variance? It's just for that business, not for the lot?
Because it's a nail salon, that is a forbidden use with this current zoning. So a change of use. If they were reopening a garden center, that might have been... Or
any retail? Or just it has to specifically be a garden center?
I'm pretty sure it had to be specific to what the former use was.
Okay.
And the new owner, Peter Lee, had said to us in an interview a few years ago that he may reopen it as a garden center.
Okay.
It's not clear why they decided to go with nail salon as opposed to maybe even getting it rezoned to doing housing there, which Councillor Fitzgerald asked them about during the meeting, said, hey, had you thought about doing housing maybe? Other people on the call raised it. But nail salon was definitely something everybody on that call said is a bad idea for that location.
Watch him come back and be like, I'm doing housing. I'm going to do 14 units.
Can't have that.
That would be, and some people have said, well, careful what you wish for or wish against.
Right.
And it will be interesting. The attorney for the Lee family at the end of the call was, kind of acknowledging this is a lot of opposition and we're going to have to go back and kind of regroup and rethink this maybe. The next stop would be the Cedar Grove Civic Association. before going to the ZBA. So we'll see. It was clear from what Stephen Lee, who was on the call, said that he was, I think, taken a
This is the lawyer. Yeah.
Stephen Lee is actually the son of the
okay.
owner,
Okay.
and he would be the property manager.
Okay.
And they also were clear that the tenant who would run the nail salon is not a relation to them.
So the main opposition is just that it's a nail salon and they don't need one? Or like what? I don't understand what the complaint is.
Several people did say that we have 9 nail salons right down the street. I think that may be a slight exaggeration, but maybe not a big one.
I think someone counted 5.
Yeah.
That seems about right.
And that would be along
I think
Gallivan and
that's actually fair.
Adams.
Yeah, I think that's
probably true.
Yeah.
And, that's fine. Nail salons do need to get special permission to be in certain buildings depending on the zoning. So it's a fair thing for folks to raise that issue. It is privately owned, and
isn't the demand or not demand the owner's problem, not the community's problem? Like,
I think the owner, the question for the owner really is how did he market this? I think, and did he entertain other uses? That wasn't clear. It still isn't clear. And since that first story last week, several people on social media have said, well, let's get together and figure this out. Maybe let's give them a counter proposal. That would be nice to see if people were able to put their resources together and their imaginations and say, hey, Mr. Lee, we have a better proposal for you.
Yeah.
That would be the way to approach it rather than to say, go back to the drawing board on your own, probably. Let's be creative here.
The other thing is, like, I would love to run a garden store had I lots of resources to do so. I wouldn't put it there. It's not really it's great that it was historically a garden center and he did a great job with it, but I'd put it on like a more main strip than that.
It's right next to the cemetery. You get a lot of business.
That's true.
Like if you
From
look at
the cemetery residence.
well, if you look at American Legion Highway, there used to be a bunch of florists over there because there's so many cemeteries.
Right.
So for whatever reason in the city here, there's a lot of florists near cemeteries.
Yeah.
And I think that's because
you go get a wreath and walk across the street. Yeah.
Right. So
That's
I
fair.
think maybe Richard might have been thinking of that when he did it. Maybe he
Well,
wasn't.
it used to, prior to being the Cedar Grove Gardens, it was a place where you would buy headstones. And it was
Oh, really?
That's what the prior use was.
There's one of those on Gallivan right there.
There is.
Yeah.
Devaney and White.
Yeah, yeah.
Great locally owned, long-time business, over 100 years.
Wow.
And but there was another location, I'm not sure the name of it, there for many years.
Okay.
Because of its location.
Yeah.
But Seth's right. They did a big trade in funeral and people plant at their relative grave sites often. So that was part of the hook. But Richard grew that business to be really a regional draw, and that's something that people miss. It really was. He would not only have. He would have parties there all the time. Dot Out was kind of their home base. They would have events there all the time, and unfortunately. I guess, that use is no longer what's going to be there, but they have to get creative about what's next.
Yeah. So the next step you said is for the him to come back with some ideas and take it to the neighborhood association?
It sounds like the ownership's going to rethink it and then decide whether it's worth going in front of the Cedar Grove group, which no doubt would have the same party line about.
They're not known for their acceptance.
Not on that kind of a use. And the leadership of the group was on that call and were like, don't even think about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we may have a little background noise today. There's some drumming.
Really? I didn't notice. I thought that.
All right. Well, let's stay in that part of Dorchester. Let's talk about this Neponset River pollution artist. Is that how I should frame this? So there is a student at BLS who's talking about the pollution in the Neponset River as part of her art project.
It's her senior project. I'll take this one, Seth, and then you get to go next. Her name is Lucy Zhang, and she is, as you said, a senior at Boston Latin. This is her senior project, and she decided to do it about the Neponset River because she read an article about how the river is now a Superfund site. She was fascinated by that and didn't really know anything about Neponset. She lives, I think, in Roslindale, but just was unaware that there's a major river that flows through the city. And so she started doing some research, and she decided to focus on kind of the history of how the river came to be become a Superfund site, and also how the greenway and other amenities along the river have been added over the last 40 years. So she started interviewing activists and people who've been engaged in that process, and a reporter me, who covered it for that long. And part of the idea is to have an exhibit. It's going to actually be at the Milton Library, which of course Milton is a Neponset community as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to happen. It's opening on April 13th. She's having a reception there in the evening. You can register for it if you'd like to go at .news.com. But part of it is an art exhibit because she did portraits of the people she interviewed.
Oh, interesting.
So that's part of the installation. But a lot of it's going to be telling their history, their oral history of how and why they got involved in making the Neponset a better place.
We had Paul Nutting and Marie Lyons from the Neponset Greenway Association on last season, and they talked about the residual pollution in the Neponset and even like the mouth of the Neponset where it goes into the harbor, and how like even dredging that is considered toxic waste. So you have to have like mitigation efforts and stuff. So if you missed that episode, go listen to it because it's really interesting. I wonder if she painted their portraits.
I don't think I saw either of them on there.
Okay.
It's interesting. She has an interesting cross-section of people from Mattapan, from Hyde Park, Dorchester, obviously, Milton. And it's a diverse group of people. I didn't know some of them. And they're young people who've been more active lately and doing some programming along the Neponset. So, salute to Lucy for, kind of, diving in and really getting into some new information about this. It really is a fascinating history about reclaiming a natural asset that had been walled off and fenced off from
Well, you've
us.
talked about when you were younger, how crappy that area was, right? Like it was pretty dirty. And were you here then, Seth, or no?
No, I wasn't here. I was here, got here in the 90s, but I was on the other side of town. I guess the big question for Bill is if he jumped off the bridge into the river.
Never. I never would have thought about jumping into the Neponset River. That would just be an invitation for
an extra year or something.
It was kind of gross. And the water quality, is better now, but it's not fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's why it's still a Superfund site.
Right.
Fishing and eating is not encouraged.
Well, it's getting better. And so, the folks from the Neponset River Watershed Association would tell us, there are parts of the river that it is safe
like
to fish.
Like upstream more, right?
Yeah. It's not a good idea on like a rainy day when there could be discharge from CSOs and things. And there's also the issue of the sediment from the industrial uses.
Yeah.
And some of that sediment, accumulates behind the dams, including the one in Lower Mills. So there's some issues around that. The Superfund is intended to mitigate a lot of it, and that's a project that's still ongoing. And there is a question mark with it because EPA and the current administration isn't so friendly. But most of the funds that's already been associated with it are being spent right now.
The good news maybe is that I think Trump intends to nominate Lee Zeldin, his EPA administrator, to be his new attorney general because he fired Pam Bondi today.
He did.
So
I didn't even know that. I wasn't the dentist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I found out here on this set when he fired Kristi Noem. So I feel like
right.
Every time I come in to record a podcast, we lose another cabinet member.
You're fired.
We should do this every day.
Okay. Well, Neponset takes us all the way down to Mattapan. Mattapan takes us to Blue Hill Ave. So
Sure does.
Seth, I don't know if you caught the mayor interview last week, but
Did most of it, yeah.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
She talked about Blue Hill Ave and the bus lane proposal and how there is no firm design right now.
Yeah, that was very interesting. That
Yeah.
hasn't been said before. You guys
Breaking
broke
news.
news.
Yeah. Pam Bondi, Mayor Wu.
Did you break Pam Bondi? Did we break that?
we may have.
On the Life pod, you did. Yep.
So you've been following the Blue Hill Ave
Mhm.
story for a while. Was there
Yes.
anything besides it being surprising what she mentioned? Was there anything else that you thought of?
Well, we did cover a meeting a week ago
okay.
that was at the William E. Reed Auditorium that's in Grove Hall, in the Prince Hall Lodge, which is confusing to a lot of people. I actually went to the wrong place at first.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I did. I went to the wrong place, and I was like, oh, my gosh.
Where'd you go?
I went to the Russell Auditorium.
You went to the Russell and Talbot.
Oh.
Okay, I could see how you could get them.
William E.
confused.
Reed, the Russell Auditorium. I did make that mistake, but I still got there on time. And I didn't take the bus.
That's why.
I drove. But yeah, no, it was a good meeting, actually. There's been, some people say 200, but I don't think there's been 200, but there's been scores and scores of these meetings online, in person.
Are these just like public input meetings or what's the purpose?
Yeah, some of them are public input. Some of them have been actual like hearings at the
Okay.
council level. Some have been official project hearings, design hearings, architect hearings, you name it. Unilaterally, almost, it's been no.
Okay.
We don't want that. We want Blue Hill improved. We don't want a center lane bus.
Man, this is a refrain in Dorchester. We don't want that, but we want something.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you've been on the sidewalks there, it is high time for that because there aren't any in some places. But the center lane bus is definitely, there's no consensus on that, except for no, up until last week, I mean, that a lot of young people showed up. Now, one thing about Boston, a lot of people don't know unless they've been through it, is that they made a rule, I believe it was in 2015, that there were no more yellow school buses starting in 6th grade. So if you're a 6th grader, you have to take the T, which I think is insane. I think they should revisit that, but that's not what we're talking about here. And so those kids, a lot of those kids showed up, a lot of high school kids, young adults who rely on the bus. And they were saying, yeah, we do want it. We want something that's going to improve. And I'd say that was probably about 30%. Maybe.
I bet they get in trouble, right? If they're stuck in traffic and they're late to
Well, that's what they
class.
talked about.
Yeah.
There were high school students there who said they have had numerous detentions. Their high school career has been set back because they can't get there. They've been fired from their after school jobs because they can't get from school to their work.
That's a powerful argument.
They've been late to sporting events, concerts, you name it. It's hard to get around on the bus. And there is part of that where it's enforcement, because if you've been on Blue Hill Avenue, one of the big choke points is double, triple, and sometimes quadruple parking.
Yeah.
Which is insane, but it happens. So the bus can't get around. Some people are saying it's an enforcement problem. We don't need the center lane bus. We need just better enforcement. But the young people were there to say, we just want the bus improved, and this is what they're going to give us. We'd like that. There was a young woman who was probably in her 20s, and she works, I'd say in JP, that area, and she takes the bus through the existing center lane bus on Columbus Avenue.
So she takes Blue Hill to center?
No, she comes to JP.
Okay. Right. So she was coming to attest to the success of the Columbus.
Yeah, she says she cruises right through it, all up and down Columbus, and then gets to the other side where it's a mess again.
Yeah.
And, so that was the first time you really had that, and it was a generation gap.
Did people respond to this? Like the non-kids?
Yeah. No. I mean, they were very supportive of it. I think it took the first few young people that did it, it took a lot of guts, because they were standing up in front of a very angry crowd that was decidedly no for the 100th time. And people really accepted it, though. I mean, they applauded the kids for coming out, for standing up for what they wanted. But they said, you don't know what you're talking about. I think one of the things that was a common refrain was, you just don't know your history. And that gets to the point of the whole thing, is that a lot of people who've been around a long time are used to just kind of getting the shaft.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a growing sentiment on that project, and actually a few others in the same area, of that's not for us.
Okay.
And so it's meaning that's like it's a gentrification tool. It's a way to get rid of us. More than a few people said they are planning for 10 to 15 years down the road on this, and that plan is for us to be gone.
I can understand that fear.
So that and that's existed the whole time. The city has said that they were going to do something to try to prevent that as part of this plan, but the details of that have never really come forward.
Yeah.
Maybe we're not even to that point yet. So it's kind of it's stuck a little bit. But the mayor's comments, which was on the same day, by the way, kind of got a lot of people thinking.
Yeah.
Here in the Dot Live studios.
So that they can still weigh in on the design?
Yeah, I mean, well, that things aren't set in stone.
Or you think that she's going to abandon it? Or
it's the first time she said something so decided about that. The quote that got me was that we're not going to take federal money just because it's there if it's not the best design for the community.
Right.
And that was actually said by a few very decidedly no people against this at the meeting I was at.
Okay.
So, that was interesting.
Bill, do you want to prognosticate? What do you think is going to happen?
I think it's pretty fluid. Yeah. And I think the mayor is a pragmatic political player who understands that, yes, she has a 49-point margin of victory over her most recent opponent, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's a mandate along the Blue Hill Ave corridor for a specific project.
Right.
She's deft enough to understand the nuance there, and that there is a very important constituency along the Blue Hill corridor that's not happy about this. Now, it's not 100% either way. Obviously, there is, and these young voices should be listened to.
Yeah.
And I think a hybrid design where you have portions of Blue that are center lane bus where it makes sense, that might be a design that some folks can come to live with. It's other stretches where it just doesn't seem to make any sense, where there's already like such density going into Grove Hall in particular, or right around Franklin Park. I honestly think the devil's in the details, as the mayor kind of said on the show last week. It's really hard to pull off a 3-mile long project in one swoop. You have to kind of block by block figure it out. The problem with that is we've been trying that for like 4 years now, right? And
maybe more, yeah.
And so at some point, the transit advocate side, the folks who do want this project and are like, let's step on the gas. They also have a point, which is that, we've kind of been stuck in neutral on this for a while. And also not just with this iteration, but going back into the early aughts when there was the 28X proposal, which was also would have been federally funded to do almost the same thing. And people said, no, we don't want that. And at that point, the federal money was withdrawn.
And nothing has happened on Blue Hill Ave since then?
There's been some piecemeal improvements, like right in Mattapan Square, design elements that are different.
That's more aesthetic though, isn't it, than like actual direction of travel? Yeah. And like the sculptures and things, but like it's still a mess in that intersection.
I think the biggest takeaway that I brought, because there's sometimes these meetings, it's just the same thing over and over for many, many times. But this time the gap in generations was really something that maybe if you're taking notes and you're the kind of person who needs to take notes about this, it's that we have just a different way of living between the age groups. So a lot of people who are upset, who drive, they bought their houses or inherited their houses a long time ago. Right. They're not paying the mortgages that someone who just bought it. It's their house is either paid off or the housing is inexpensive. And, having a car and outrageous insurance costs that you have in Dorchester it's not unattainable.
Yeah.
But if you're younger and you've got a big mortgage or you're paying a lot of rent, I mean, a car with insurance is just, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And therein you have the two different groups, and I think we're going to see that more and more on a lot of different issues.
Particularly leaving high school age kids stranded, no bus service, yellow bus service.
Right.
This is what you've got, take it or leave it. And like, are they supposed to allocate 2 hours at the end of each, trip to make sure they're not late? Like that's not reasonable.
No.
One thing that's puzzled me, and it still does throughout this conversation about Blue Hill Avenue, is the Fairmount line, which we've spent hundreds of millions of dollars to invest in new stations. There's a movement to electrify it, to make it a more of a rapid transit. It never seems to come up in the conversations, Seth. And I ask you this because you were at the meetings. I mean, why isn't the Fairmount line regarded as kind of a replacement service for what would be the 28X line, and getting people to those new stations and having rapid transit as the long-term solution to getting people into the city and into, other parts?
It's a really great question. I think for the community, it makes a lot of sense. But one of the key elements is part of this project isn't really for the people around Blue Hill Avenue, but it's a corridor to get to Longwood Medical Area. And that's kind of been sort of the unspoken truth.
Fairmount is, or the
No, I'm
Blue
sorry,
Hill
the Blue Hill
Avenue?
Avenue.
Okay.
The bus.
I
the
see.
Workforce, the people who are going to work there or going to school there.
Right.
Because they're what? They're parking somewhere like.
Well, no, they're coming from south of the city. And one of the key problems is like everybody, and I've always kind of wondered this myself. It's like, okay, you get to a certain point on this bus, and then what?
Yeah.
Where is it going? Where is it going that you need to go? And my oldest daughter, she actually lives right next to this, and she always says the buses don't go where anyone needs to go. Their destinations aren't where people need to go. And that's in contrast. She told me this once, in contrast with, she traveled to San Francisco. The buses seem to go where everybody needs to go.
Okay.
So they work. And here they just, I don't know, the routes are, they're not taking people where they need to go.
Well, a lot of the bus routes are taking people to Ruggles, or they're taking them
Yes.
to Forest Hills,
Right.
or to Ashmont. They're taking
Right.
them to transit hubs so they can get somewhere else. The point with the Fairmount line should be like, well, why isn't that
Right.
a tool?
Does that run right parallel to Blue Hill Ave?
It does. There's a Blue Hill Avenue station
Oh,
now
we
that
just put more trains on
it's
it.
just been built in the last 10 years ago. I think roughly it
Okay.
opened. There's new ones at Talbot. There's new ones at Four Corners. Obviously,
Is Morton Street? Is that
Morton
Yes.
Street is on the route.
Okay.
And this goes through Reedville and then points south, including Foxborough. So when folks are going down to Gillette for the World Cup games,
Yeah.
for $100 a pop, by the way, on those rides,
And having to then walk like 3 miles to the stadium
Yeah.
to see all that.
well, they should be able to walk right across the parking lot and go to the game. But
Yeah.
but you're right. There's been some problems with it. I think, folks in the community should be like, why did we spend hundreds of millions of dollars and put these new stations in, and it's still just it's commuter rail?
Yeah.
Why are we bus dependent still
Right.
when there's new stations in a line?
Right.
Um,
And then the buses could be like supplementary or do something slightly different.
there will be
Yeah.
buses, but the point,
Yeah.
there's tens of thousands of people every day on the 28 buses
Right.
on the various routes.
Bill's making a good point because really, like you could use the Fairmount line if you go to there's a station called Talbot. So at
Yeah.
Talbot Station, you can catch a bus that goes to Ashmont or that goes to Ruggles.
Okay.
And the problem with it is it's just not beefed up enough, and there's not enough routes. It doesn't come enough.
Yeah.
But it's actually a really good route because people need to go between Ashmont and Ruggles a lot.
Right.
And then having that train connection that takes you from Mattapan or into South Station,
Yeah.
It gives this cross that's really a good idea,
Yeah.
but no one has ever brought that.
I guess we got to have Phil Lang on.
Yeah, we need to have Phil Ang on. Yeah, that's been on the list.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, I want to say kudos to those young people for showing up. That's not easy to do, and like advocate for yourself, no matter what happens.
Yeah,
That's
they were
amazing.
nervous. Some of them were shaking.
I bet. All right, let's move on to. We've got some news out of the State House. I think this was this Ayanna Presley's bill? Bill?
yeah, this is actually Capitol Hill. So Congresswoman Presley has been really the leader nationally
Yeah.
for Haitian folks who have temporary protected status currently, but are in jeopardy.
Which
because-
is hundreds of thousands.
Yes.
Yeah.
At least at 350,000 across the country, 50,000 plus here alone in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, then they have dependents and they have family members here. So it's a big number.
Yeah.
But the TPS, temporary protected status, is something Haitians have had since 2010. And it's been extended because conditions in Haiti, it originated with the earthquake, of course, in 2010.
Yep.
It's continued because Haiti conditions there have not improved. In fact,
Quite
it may have
violent,
gotten
right?
worse
Yeah.
in recent years, since 2021, with the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. When he was killed, the country really went into a tailspin again.
Have you been? You've been, right?
I've been
When
a few
were you
times,
last there?
It's been 10 years since I was there. Yeah. But I wouldn't feel safe going there.
No.
That's the whole point of Congresswoman Presley and others advocates, is like, we shouldn't be sending anybody back to Haiti now. The State Department has rules against Americans going there.
Yeah.
There's currently a travel ban for Haitians to come here. But this is talking about the TPS population that is vulnerable and worried, as they should be,
Yeah.
because the aggression of the Trump administration. The big news of the last week on that front is that Congresswoman Presley has a petition among her colleagues to bring this to the floor for a vote in the House.
Okay.
And people were skeptical that she'd get it, but she did. She got enough signatures now to force a vote on the matter. Whether that vote will be successful is frankly, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's a close margin in the House, of course,
Right.
but the advocate community, and Seth, you can speak to this, I think we're surprised at the success she's had in getting it this far.
Yeah, I think so. There's a lady from what's called IFSI, Immigrant Family Service Institute, in Mattapan Square, Dr. Gabo, and she actually went to the State of the Union, and she was advocating for this there. That was her purpose in going. And they've been sending out in their newsletters and special communications the progress, and it seemed like they were wondering if they got a lot really fast, and they actually convinced a lot of Republicans as well. And then there was this final 10, that they needed to get over. And I don't think they thought they could get there. and then suddenly they did. When I know she sent out a newsletter when they got it, and I had to double check to see, because I didn't think it was accurate, but it was.
Wow, that's great.
Mhm.
So that's big news. And
Yeah.
the reason it's still in play and, is and that Haitians haven't been subject to deportation already is because federal judges have stepped in,
Mhm.
as they have in so many other instances recently with executive orders and challenging them. The most recent decision, halted any action by the administration to actually effectively terminate TPS. So, but it isn't a little bit of a limbo because that'll be challenged to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
what she's trying to do, Congresswoman Presley, and salute to her for the success to date on this, is get a legislative, get Congress to act and say, nope, we're going to extend this for 3 years and sort
Officially.
of, and sort of, bypass the president or attempt to. Still a fight. There'll still be a fight at the Supreme Court, no question.
Yeah.
But, there's hope that this court, given some recent rulings, might actually hear them out.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that continues to have forward momentum. Let's wrap up with Seth. You got to spend some time in the
Underwater.
Charlestown Harbor. Were you underwater? No, you didn't go on
I
the
did
sub.
go underwater.
Did you go on the sub?
Did go on the sub.
Really?
Very rare.
Tell us about the sub.
The sub was definitely the highlight because you don't get to go on a active submarine.
No,
Very often.
no.
And it
Maybe
was a
there's an option for Blue Hill Ave alternatives.
Along the Neponset, maybe? This is the
Make sure
U.S.
it's
that
waterproof.
That one would be yellow, right?
Yeah.
This is the USS Massachusetts,
Yes.
which is the newest nuclear sub in the fleet.
Yeah. So it was oddly enough, and this is part of the 250th celebration.
Okay.
It's tied to it. So the Navy has a brand new nuclear powered sub called the USS Massachusetts. It is the 6th USS Massachusetts ever in the fleet.
Were they all subs? Or
They
were some
weren't.
Of those?
No,
Okay.
no. So the
Okay.
first one was a wooden ship from the Mexican-American War.
Okay.
The most recent one, the most popular one, was from World War II, USS Massachusetts. It's still in Fall River at Battleship Cove.
Okay.
It's a museum ship.
Okay.
And you can visit it. Many people have. A lot of people served on it. It lasted through the 60s.
I've been on an old World War II sub in Buffalo. They have this like naval park.
Right.
Was it tight?
It was really tight. No,
Yeah.
so this is a $2.8 billion
Wow.
brand new sub. It's the newest thing in the fleet.
Was it cool? Like, was it very automated and like, was
You
there
know,
Google Voice on it?
No, there wasn't a lot of that. I think so what they said is, for you, you're really not going to notice differences between this sub and the previous sub. But for someone who's operating it in a intense situation, there's going to be things there that you immediately notice that make it more maneuverable, make it easier. One of the more interesting things, which isn't new entirely to this sub, but fairly new to the submarine fleet, is that the periscope. That's the big. That's the thing. That's what you think about. They used just a mirror type of periscope forever.
Okay.
And now they actually use an Xbox controller. No joke, a real Xbox controller.
So you don't put your eye on the thing
You
anymore?
don't do that anymore. It's all video now.
Wow.
And the way they control it is just Xbox.
That's cool.
It is. They tried a joystick, and there might have been a generation gap on
Like an
joysticks.
Atari joystick?
I can't use those controllers. I'd be a terrible submarine operator.
The joystick wasn't easy, and you got to remember the crew here. There's about 147 crew members on this, 300 square feet of space,
Yikes.
right? And they're very young, so you're like 19 to 22 average. I mean, the
Okay.
commanders and stuff are more, they're in their 40s. They're
Yeah.
career people, but a lot of them are very, very young, and so a lot of them have played video games.
Yeah.
And an Xbox controller is like
Second
Sure.
nature. Yeah.
yeah,
So
Give
when
me
you
a
say
second.
nuclear submarine, you mean nuclear powered,
nuclear
right?
powered.
Okay.
Yeah,
They're not shooting
yeah,
nukes.
but
Okay.
they do have missiles.
Okay.
They can carry 25 Tomahawk missiles.
Wow.
And then there's also a different class of missile that they have. It's like a supersonic missile.
Okay.
ATACs, I think they call them, ATAC. And so this is like kind of what you're seeing in the Persian Gulf.
Yeah.
There are other subs over there doing that right now.
Right.
And this was the big kickoff party for it, and it was called the commissioning, not
Okay.
the christening. It's already been christened. It was built in Virginia.
Why was it here?
Simply because it's the USS Massachusetts. It was
Okay.
ceremonial.
Hmm.
And part of the draw here was because of the Constitution. America's ship of state.
Old Ironsides.
Old Ironsides
Yeah.
in Charlestown. And so when they had the big ceremony last Saturday, Old Ironsides came over. And
It moved?
Oh, yeah. It moves
Yeah.
all the time.
I didn't know that.
Seth's
Yeah.
been on it before,
Yeah.
and has gone on they call it getting underway or underway,
Yeah.
and sometimes they call it a turnaround. So it comes out in the harbor, does a turnaround,
Mhm.
fires off its cannons, or obviously replica
Right.
cannons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I saw in your video that it
Yeah.
was it was
Mhm.
saluting.
Yep. So that's what they did. Their
Some
part
loud
was
booms.
you have to give I guess it's a 3-gun salute
Okay.
to welcome the newest ship into the fleet.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, the lady who introduced it was the former COO of Facebook. She was one of the early
Oh.
founders of Facebook.
Sheryl Sandberg?
yes,
Oh, really?
You knew that. Wow.
Yeah.
I thought I was
Lean
going to break
in.
the news. Yeah.
she's the what do they call it? The mother or the
Well,
godmother?
it's
or
sort of
something?
like it's a role called she described it as godmother of the ship, but they call it a sponsor. And,
Okay.
and she laughed and said, it's not the kind of sponsor you might be thinking. So
Oh, she
you're
didn't
not
financially sponsor
sponsoring it. No, but it goes back 180 years, this role. It's a civilian
Okay.
role. Usually women were chosen for it in the older days.
Would they do the bottle on the bow thing?
Yeah, I think she was part of that.
Okay.
Yeah. And you're just part of everything. You support the crew. You keep track of it. You're at these ceremonies. I would say if they come into port and you're in the area, you would go.
Okay.
But she was asked by one of the high-ups in the Navy in 2015 to do this, and she did. So the crew was kind of rounded up like in 2019. This goes way back. I mean, these subs aren't built overnight. So this has been in process for a long time.
So how does one get to be a sponsor and go meet the crew of young seamen when
You
they
got to
come in?
you got to be the founder of Facebook or Dot Life podcast.
Yeah, yeah, right.
I mean, for a nuclear sub, yeah. I mean, you could probably get like one of
Rowboat.
A tugboat.
one of the MBTA ferries
Yeah.
maybe in your future. I don't know. We'll work something out.
Well,
You'll
get on that.
filling
Last
on
bill.
the show. But yeah, it was a great day. It was very cold Saturday morning on the Constitution. Froze. It was like 30.
Ugh.
We're on the water.
What a
but,
cool thing to be a part of, though.
It really was. And we were the only civilian media. The Navy has its own journalism program,
Yeah.
believe it or not, and its own media, and they were all there. But
Okay.
we were the only ones on. My wife was a journalist for the day. She did some videos.
She did some great video of
She
the
did.
the cannons going
Yeah.
off.
How did you get selected to be on that?
They invited us. I
Yeah.
mean,
Wow.
the
Nice.
USS Constitution has is very generous in reaching out to us all the time. Like, we run their announcements all the time too, because we think it's cool. Like both
cool,
Seth and I
yeah.
have been on there. Seth has been on while it's moving, which is cool, even cooler a few times now.
Yeah.
I'm a bit jealous, but I don't know. It's just it's a Boston institution. It's obviously a national treasure, but it's ours.
Yeah.
Boston's, right? And so it's extra special, and people get very excited. But I have to salute Seth once again for documenting it so beautifully, both the sub and the boat, the USS Constitution. But we had once again a viral moment nationally where we've had over 1.5 million views of Seth's
Wow.
work on
Is it still up?
just on Facebook.
Is it on .news.com or no?
Yeah, you can see it at .news.com. We have a big 2-page spread of it
Yeah,
in
in
this
the
week's
paper.
print edition, but also just on the socials. It went nuts because
Yeah.
the military folks, especially people with naval
Mhm.
history and submariners in particular, there was nobody else covering this the way you
Right,
were.
right.
So well done.
Yeah,
Very
well,
cool.
also, Boston has such a naval history that's gone, but still the people who remain remember it.
Right.
And, that's still there too.
We're a waterfront community in
Yeah.
Dorchester as well. So it's, for us, we looked at it as it's not just a Dorchester event, obviously.
Right.
This was a Boston thing. And, it is the 250th. We're trying to lean into that.
I used to live in Charlestown. I used to walk by there all the time. It was very cool. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, there hasn't been a sub in Boston Harbor since at least the 80s, maybe
Oh, wow.
early 90s. So
Okay.
it's a big deal.
All right. Well, what else is what's going on this weekend? You guys have any plans?
Well, it's Easter.
Oh, it is Easter.
Get the leg of lamb.
Yeah, Good Friday tomorrow. And
Yes. Yep.
Nice.
That's the plan. We're hosting family over Sunday, and I know Seth, you have some
Yeah.
family from out of town, which is
Right.
your
Yeah.
mom, I think, is here visiting.
She
So
is. She
Very
is.
nice.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, it's going to be good. The weather's supposed to improve.
It
Not
can't
tomorrow.
get much worse.
Not tomorrow, but Saturday. So,
nice.
Very nice.
We're overdue.
yeah. Thanks for coming, both of
Yeah,
you. Good to see
appreciate
you.
it.
Thanks for having us.
Life is sponsored in part by the Dorchester Reporter, Dorchester's own community newspaper and online home for all things Dorchester at .news.com. The Reporter, owned and operated by the Forry family, has been laser focused on Dorchester and the surrounding neighborhoods of Boston since 1983. That longevity and experience shows in its award-winning coverage every week. The Reporter is our go-to source for authentic stories about the people, places, and events that matter most to our daily lives. We are proud to partner with The Reporter and .news. And you can support the important journalism provided by The Reporter. Just go to .news.com to subscribe today. It's the best deal in town and helps keep our local community journalism alive and well. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Life. We are enjoying spring today for the first time so far this season. It's a lovely day outside. And we are also thinking ahead to Dyngus Day, which if you're not familiar with Dyngus Day, you're probably not alone. But to figure it out, what it is, what it means, we're going to travel to the northern part of Dorchester, the Polish Triangle. And with us as our guide is Erica Stocks. Hi, Erica.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Erica, I'm going to take a deep breath and say your titles, okay?
Great.
So we've got Recording Secretary of the Polish American Citizens Club.
Correct.
And President of the Polish American Heritage and Community Foundation.
Correct.
And you have a Polish triangle sweatshirt
I
on,
do.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
It's a triangle.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for those who might not be familiar with where the triangle is, can you just kind of like position us?
Yeah, sure. So basically the triangle we'd consider from Andrew Square up Dorchester Ave to Columbia Road, and then up Boston Street to Everett Square.
Okay.
And then connecting to Columbia Road. So literally, like, you look at a map, it's the shape of a triangle.
And a little southy, little Dorchester,
No,
right?
it's like really like right at Andrew Square, you know? So when you
Okay.
get to that intersection and
Yeah.
you have, everything there, that crazy intersection.
Yeah.
But basically, once you start to go up Dorchester Ave and up Boston Street, that's kind of the
Got
beginning
it.
of the
Okay.
triangle. Yeah.
Okay. And it does come to a point.
It
hence
comes
the
to a
name.
point and has angles and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it was designated the Polish Triangle. Believe it was 2012.
Okay.
Mayor Menino, on the urging of a couple of individuals within the community, to designate it as the Polish Triangle, to really kind of sort of signify that this is the Polish, cultural center for Polish Americans or Polish individuals within the city of Boston. So that's great for us. We have a nice little sign that sort of designates it. And that's sort of where it's always been the triangle. It's always been a place where individuals immigrating from Poland have always kind of settled there. And that's sort of just where it's sort of grown from, and it continues to be the triangle today.
So I think a lot of people, rightfully, we just came out of St. Patrick's Day, a lot of people think about the Irish and Dorchester being kind of synonymous.
Yeah.
Tell me why the Polish should be in that conversation.
I think a lot of immigration coming from Poland was sort of happening kind of around the similar time. Late 1870s into the early 1900s was like the first wave of immigration coming into the U.S., and particularly to cities like Boston and Chelsea and Lynn and all these other communities that were big sort of industrial centers, right?
And was it the same kind of drivers, like the famine or economic opportunities, or was there something else?
No, it was more economic
okay.
opportunity. I'm sure there's probably political things involved. There wasn't any sort of famine or anything like that. It was just more like opportunity. You had a lot of immigration to other areas of the U.S., Shenandoah Valley in Pennsylvania, coal mining, Chicago, New York City, all these different places, and it was more just work.
But this is the best of those.
Yeah. I think they all have really different, unique feels, and I think if you go to any of those places, you'll kind of see that. But
I mean, Buffalo's got a huge Polish population.
True,
Big
and
time.
and New Britain, Connecticut is enormous. It's probably the closest one. New York City, Chicago, obviously. But yeah, we have our own little community here. I think we kind of fly under the radar a little bit. But yeah, and then you had another wave of immigration around World War II.
Okay.
Obviously, everything that was happening in Europe, you have people being displaced. And then, chain migration was happening after the war. And then another around the 80s during martial law in Poland.
Okay.
And then with the Solidarity movement. You kind of saw a lot of folks kind of coming over at that time, too.
Is that more like a refugee situation, or was it still?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was more political asylum
Okay.
seekers. There's some really great stories. I can talk about that, too, around that time of individuals, like, jumping off boats in Boston Harbor and seeking shelter at the Polish Club. Like, it's wild.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, those are kind of the drivers, I think, for folks. And right now, because of Poland's entry into the EU, there's not a ton of immigration happening from Poland to the Boston area. Most people, if they're immigrating, they're probably going to Chicago or New York.
Okay.
A lot of, there's a large contingent sort of growing in Florida as well. But immigration has slowed, I think, because of all the economic opportunity that really opened up after the fall of communism.
In Poland itself.
In Poland, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big tech hub, and it's pretty,
Yeah.
So there's not a need.
Right.
And if people are
Right.
going to immigrate, they're going to stay within the EU to be closer to family
Yeah.
and things like that. It just opens up so many more doors for those folks.
So these people were coming over and immigrating, some of them seeking political asylum.
Yeah.
What did that look like?
So there is a really interesting story happened December of 88 into January of 89. You had 46 sailors from these large ships that were coming into Boston Harbor, just walk off the ship and make their way to the club.
Like basically quit their job, just like left.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
Just
weren't sailing here. They were just working on the
They
ship.
were working on the ship, they were,
Okay.
merchant marines
Yeah.
on these like big container ships, and just like walked off and made their way to the club and basically to seek political asylum.
Okay.
Because they were had said they were part of a band, the Solidarity movement, banned labor unions.
Okay.
So around the time of Solidarity
Got it. Okay.
in Poland, sort of as communism was falling. And so, yeah, they walked off the ship. They walked into the club. They slept at the club. People, trying to find them.
It's a lot of people to find a space
Yeah,
for.
so it was like 16.
Okay.
In, I believe it was December. And then that January, there was another 40,
Oh my gosh.
30 people
Wow.
that come off. And, they just walked off the ship.
Yeah.
And then, the community had to sort of rally together to help these guys,
Right.
find work, find housing, find clothing.
Wait a minute. So they were on, what kind of boats are these?
They're big merchant, container ships, big,
Okay.
ships that were bringing goods.
And they're working on these ships.
Yeah.
And then, okay. Got it.
Yeah, they're working on these ships and they're bringing in some, into Boston Harbor.
Yeah.
And, unloading whatever they,
And they unloaded themselves.
and they walked off and hopped in a cab, and
That takes
it takes
chutzpah.
It
Yeah.
does. It's a lot. It takes a lot of, I think, guts and and to really kind of be like, we're doing this.
Yeah.
And that they did it all together.
Yeah. And their families, and maybe they are still here. Or some, I mean, that's
Yeah,
not
no,
that
there's
long ago.
no. I think a lot of those guys ended up staying and
Okay.
marrying and having families and stuff like that, and really just seeking political asylum because I think that obviously the climate in Poland at that time was
Yeah. fraught, yeah.
with the fall of communism and so it was really just I think for those individuals probably a time for them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big thing if you just walk off the boat and
Yeah.
you can't go back.
Right.
You can't go back to if you had family there or anything like that, you weren't
That's
able
it.
to go back. But I think what it really kind of talks to is the idea that people helping people.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's what really, came together was that individuals in the community, in the Polish American community, sort of rallied around these guys and were able to sort of figure out how can we support them. The Globe did a bunch of stories on it.
Because there was this established network of
Yeah,
people
absolutely.
who already could cushion that, which is really nice. Yeah.
And at that time too, they had in the mayor, I believe in City Hall, I don't know if it was through the mayor's office or another office, Polish liaison,
Okay.
a guy named Jack Kowalski, who has since passed, but he was, I think, really instrumental. There's a bunch of articles with him talking because he spoke Polish.
Okay.
So he was able to, I think, kind of bridge the gap for a lot of individuals, and he had connections at, City Hall, so was able to sort of really, I think, help people that way.
Yeah.
Which is great. I think, that again, it goes to the point where the population was so big that we had a liaison.
Yeah.
And then,
Right. Right.
Other communities in Boston have those because you have, large
Yeah.
communities. Or our community is not as large anymore.
Right.
But
Is that something that your organization will help people with if they, do you have records and things if people are trying to trace their roots or anything like that? Or?
So we always recommend folks go to the Polish Genealogical Society.
Okay.
Which really helps individuals kind of do a little bit of that historical
Got it.
research, which we do see a lot of people reach out to us all the time. I had a family member and they immigrated. Their last name was this.
Yeah.
Do we know anybody?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's no. Sometimes it's oh, that sounds familiar. Maybe
Right.
one of us someone might know.
Yeah.
Especially people who've been at the club members a long time. People like my parents' generation.
Okay.
60s, 70s. They're well into their 80s. You might be like, hey, do you know so and so? This is the last name.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we always kind of recommend people to go there. But we did a lot of digging when we had our 80th anniversary for the club's, the building. The building was erected in 1939.
Okay.
It had a grand opening, and it was like very fancy.
What's it look like on the inside now?
So in the inside, we have upstairs function hall. That's just like a large hall with like a stage, and so people can host events.
Yeah.
We have a bar up there, and then the downstairs area is kind of like a really cool dive bar.
Okay.
That's kind of how I describe it. Pool tables, dartboards, a bar. We have like Polish beers and stuff like that.
This is member. Like, you can't just stumble in
You
on
can.
it. You can.
Yeah.
All right. Good to know.
Yeah, I think people kind of think it's always members only, and for a long
Yeah.
time it was because it. But
Well, it's also no women. So.
yeah, there was no women, no female members.
Yeah.
But we have a couple of pool leagues that play out of there. We have a great. It's so funny. The bunch of Dominican guys that come and play dominoes.
Nice.
And they just like looking for a space and talk to our president, who's kind of like our GM.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Sure,
Cool.
come and play." And they have these spaces, and it's like because our neighborhood changes, so it's more like become this sort of like community space. It's like, hey, people are welcome here. Yes, we're a Polish American Citizens Club, but like,
Yeah.
if these guys want to come and play,
Right.
no one's going to say no, right?
Right.
We want you to have a space, and
Yeah.
so that's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, very
but
cool.
when we were doing the anniversary, the 80th anniversary party, we really had like a lot of our board members, because we're all volunteers.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone has a full-time job and is doing a ton of other things, but kind of delved into really like the history of the club and really trying to find like as much historical documents as we could through like newspapers. We had one member who was like on microfiche at the like South Boston Public Library, like scrolling through all these things to try to find any articles we could. We found that John F. Kennedy had come to the club when he was a senator, I believe it was, and all kinds of just like the sailor story came through, and then a lot of stories about when the Pope had come to Boston, and done mass.
Was there a Polish Pope?
Yeah.
Was there?
Pope John Paul II.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
First, like, non-Italian Pope in, like, 400-something years. Like, a big, he
They
is,
had
like...
quite a run, those Italians.
Yeah. Revered.
Yeah.
In Poland.
Okay.
The school that my daughter goes to is Pope John Paul.
Got it.
Okay. Saint Pope John Paul.
What was his actual name?
His name was Karol Wojtyła.
Okay.
And he was a priest and then became, sort of that thing. But he was... when he became Pope, and he became Pope at a time that was so critical in Polish history, which is right around Solidarity. And I don't know if it's a direct quote from him, but kind of alluding to the fact that like trying to put communism in Poland, in a very Catholic country, was like trying to put a saddle on a cow. It's not going to work. Or something, there's like a great line kind of attributed to him, but I think his becoming Pope sort of, I think really... for Polish people, particularly at that time, was like, we have this like, I don't want to say power, but this like motivation to keep going, to kind of overthrow communism, right?
Yeah.
It was this sort of...
I think Americans feel that way right now with our American Pope.
I think it is. I think it kind of gives visibility.
Yeah.
I think that happened with Pope Francis,
too.
for
sure.
Because Poland, particularly at that time, it's a very heavily Catholic country. Maybe not so much now because I think it's just so opened up with the EU and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's been a part of sort of cultural life there.
Yeah.
And so he's like revered, and he came to Boston, did a mass of like 400,000 people on Boston Common. There's like a statue. If you walk through Boston Common, there's like a little plaque erected.
Oh my gosh.
For him, and he like had a parade through the streets of Boston, and
very cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
So people really remember that he like...
This is like 80s?
Yeah. So
okay.
I think he had just become Pope. So it was very early on in his...
Like, because he had quite a long tenure, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
He was like
20
I think
years?
he died
Maybe
in like
not quite so long.
2005.
Was Benedict his replacement?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
he had a long one.
Yeah, so he was Pope for quite a bit of time.
See, I always say on this podcast I'm not Catholic, but you wouldn't know it.
Yeah.
Look at my Pope trivia.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so I think it is. I think a lot of the history that we found was sort of tied into this idea of like people helping people. Honestly, like. There was like a Polish auxiliary unit that like because when women couldn't be members, they had like an auxiliary unit.
They couldn't be members, but they could do all the work to support the members.
Yeah. So it's oftentimes like the wives of like members or the board or the president or whatever.
The food, the cleaning, the whatever. Yeah.
And I think at the time too, we are sort of probably like an apolitical organization, right? We don't endorse candidates. We don't really do that. But I think at the beginning, it was very much like that. And there was a lot of push. I think if you look at our original sort of constitution, was like helping individuals become citizens.
Okay.
And really kind of enforcing, like, you must become a citizen. You must, like, do this to be a member, right? So there was a lot of thing because there was so many people coming over that were looking or, the citizenship thing was a big, like,
just helping them find the right path.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously over time that has changed.
Yeah.
And so we don't, if individuals want to become citizens, we're certainly.
Yeah.
But most people don't need us to do that, right? Or people coming over already having a green card. Like, it's not, we're not sort of pushing that kind of thing, but really it's not, we're like community support. Like, here we are, we're here to, like, help support things like, Polish Fest Boston and the Dożynki and those things, and really just to get the message out too. And kind of, I think for a time too, is people felt like, oh, I needed to speak Polish in order to kind of like become part of the community, but that's not the case.
Okay.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
Like you can come into.
I wish I did. It sounds really cool.
Yeah, you'll hear Polish. You'll probably hear it spoken. At different places and stuff. But we're not. Yeah. We do all our meetings in English.
Yeah.
But it is. But what we want to do is Polish language classes for adults. So I've been slowly.
Very cool. For like any adults who are interested.
Correct.
Ooh.
And really, it came because people would constantly email us and say, "I'm an adult. I want to learn Polish," or "I learned Polish as a kid, but I've forgotten.
Oh yeah.
How can I do that?"
Yeah.
And for me as a heritage speaker, so basically, I grew up speaking Polish at home with my family, but I never really had any sort of formal education, like learning like grammar and like the alphabet.
Conjugation.
Yeah, like I never did any of that kind of stuff. But so I'm considered a heritage speaker. So a lot of people like me who are like, I would love to learn how to read and write a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because I can go to Poland and be fine.
Right.
Getting myself around and, kind of, managing that. But like, I can't really read a newspaper.
You couldn't read a novel in Polish.
No.
Yeah.
We have a Polish language newspaper here. I'll pick it up. I can kind of get the gist of the article. But so I think people really want to do that. And also a lot of people looking to have dual citizenship.
Okay.
Because Poland allows, you can get like a Polish passport, and you get an EU passport. And so there's like been a lot of that stuff happening too, where people are like, I'm learning Polish, but I want to, get more information, or I want to be a little bit more involved because I'm thinking about doing this. And if I immigrate or my job might take me there.
Right. Right.
And I want to be prepared.
Yeah.
Because I think that's part of it. You have to you can't just like go.
Yeah.
They want you to have like some kind of Polish tie. So
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Doesn't I think the Warsaw Airport is named after Chopin? Is that right?
It is, yeah.
We've got some great music heritage.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's like you go to like Copernicus is Polish.
Oh, okay.
And he's from Torun.
Okay.
Which is kind of in the like central western part
Okay.
of Poland, right? Like Valenza, Solidarity movement, Chopin. You got, a lot of filmmakers. You have like a great Polish, the Łódź, which is again, it's like a whole Polish film school. They like a lot of Polish directors and cinematographers.
Yeah.
It's like come out of that space and like, so it's cool. Poland's a really interesting place. Like
I would love to go.
I would highly recommend it.
Yeah.
I think when communism ended, it played catch up really fast.
Okay.
I think it was desperate. I mean, that's just my own personal opinion. But they had been under the yoke of communism for so long,
right,
and had seen what was happening in the West, and was like, okay, we gotta
go.
We gotta go. And so they picked up, I think, really quickly.
They're doing a lot of tech there. Like
Huge
a lot
tech.
of engineering is growing up, and it's like low wage, like comparison to other countries. So like they're really growing quickly in their
the tech space. The tech space is really like high skill, like IT folks and stuff coming out of there.
Yeah.
So I think they played catch up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
To be able to kind of recover from communism, right?
Yeah.
It was just, I wasn't.
It's a bad scene.
Yeah. I mean, I know stories from just like what I've heard from people and family who've traveled there and stuff like that. I mean, I went after obviously and it ended quite but even then it was great. And like my brother went back recently for a family wedding, and they were like, this is wild. Like my parents have been back multiple times. I mean, my brother and I both went back before my parents went back, and they were born in Poland.
Wow.
And they had been like 35 years or something since they'd been back.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, our kids have gone, but we haven't. We were literally born there. Yeah. So they've been back a couple of times since then. And
is there a direct flight to Warsaw?
No. So you have to change planes. Usually like in Frankfurt
Okay.
or Berlin or London, some connecting flight.
Yeah.
But you can fly, with one connection
Okay.
to Poland.
Yeah.
And it's like the dollar, I think, is pretty strong there. And
Okay.
so, but it's really cool. It's just like an interesting, cool place with a lot of history.
Like close enough to European that it's like familiar, but like different enough that it's interesting and kind of cool. And
and I think there's so much history there.
Yeah.
I think you can go and you can spend an entire day like in the Kazimierz, which is sort of the Jewish neighborhood, and they have wonderful tours there. Cities like Krakow, which was virtually untouched during the war. You can't say that for cities like Warsaw and other places which were just bombed,
leveled.
Krakow has retained a lot of its original architecture.
It's supposed to be pretty artsy, isn't it, Krakow?
Yeah, Krakow's a big university.
Okay.
So it is kind of, but it's architecturally, it's the most like well intact and stuff like that. The buildings and stuff.
Yeah. Is it like a communist style, like the
no,
block? No, it's
no.
like,
That's like Warsaw. You have you have some other areas that are sort of like outside of the city.
They rebuilt them after the war, and they
like the castle in Warsaw is completely rebuilt to what it looked like before it was leveled.
Wow.
It's wild. But Krakow has like this, churches and things like that, and
there's cathedrals.
Yeah. There's like a big one right in the center of Krakow, which is also like a cloth hall. So they have like these huge town squares. Basically, they're called rynek.
Okay.
And the rynki are like the big square, and then there's just like buildings around it. There's usually like a church or some kind of like marketplace or whatever. Okay. So most Polish cities have that like kind of setup, right? Yeah. And then they have cafes, and it's just like really kind of cool and fun.
Cool.
And and you can go and obviously get Polish food, but then they have so many other people,
it's world cities.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's major metropolitan European city.
Yeah.
And then just all the different places around Poland too that are just pretty cool.
So when someone walks through the Polish Triangle right now, what are the things that kind of stand out?
So you see the Polish church.
Okay.
It's right there on Dorchester Ave. The Polish Club, which you can see from the highway. Mm-hmm. There are a number of stores. There's a restaurant, and a couple of other small businesses and stuff like that. But those are sort of, you have a little bit on Dorchester Ave as well as on Boston Street as well. So.
And what do you think kind of drew the immigration wave of Polish people to the Triangle? Was it just like the church was there and they kind of found their way to the church, or family?
I think so. I think that was probably an anchor point for a lot of people, right? It's like, okay, here's this community, the mass is celebrated in Polish. This is like an area where I can go and, feel connected. Access to industry, right? Yeah. The waterfront, the railroads, industry on, all over the city of Boston and stuff. Affordable housing, right? People were coming and, you're coming and looking for an apartment, that kind of thing. So that was, I think, a large driver for folks to kind of seek that out. And over time, people have stayed and people have sort of migrated out into the greater Boston area and other communities. You saw a lot of immigration also to other big industrial cities, Salem, Lynn, Chelsea. Yeah. Buffalo. New Bedford, Buffalo, New Bedford, Fall River, all of these areas, and really drive, and obviously in Central Mass and Western Mass as well too. But there are all these like little pockets, and they were always kind of around industry and jobs.
What do you think were like kind of the key traditions that came from the homeland here that still, kind of sustained throughout the immigration? Yeah,
I think a big one, obviously, with spring is a lot of traditions around Easter and Lent. So you have one big thing that kind of comes up is the Saturday before Easter. It's called Święconka, where you basically make an Easter basket full of symbolic foods. Okay. And you bring those to the church, and they're blessed, and that's what you eat on Easter morning before you go to church.
What kind of foods are these? Like Polish foods or like
like
candy?
So, you can throw a little candy in there, but it's like bread, salt, butter, kielbasa, horseradish, eggs, right? And they all have kind of symbolisms. It's like, I don't remember off the top of my head, but each one has a symbolic thing that's a little bit tied to sort of the Lenten celebration, right? But it's a big cultural thing because, you'll go if you go on Saturday, there's tons of people. People come in from all over the place to have their baskets blessed. It's a big thing. And these very elaborate baskets with like lace, napkins on top and, flowers and really kind of really cool
you don't want to skimp because what if you get hungry, right?
and people have like full bottles of wine in there sometimes. I think you have a big family, like full loaves of bread, right? Yeah. And so people really go all out. But it is a thing. kids come, and it is, I bring my girls and stuff too
Yeah.
to kind of like celebrate that tradition. But that's kind of like an, Eastery one, and, things around the holidays. Vigilia, Christmas Eve dinner is really big, and most families that I know tend to stick with that tradition of, it's food. It's like you don't eat meat. There's 12 dishes for the 12 apostles. So I think a lot of the traditions are often tied a little bit to religion.
Yeah.
Because the Polish church, the Catholic Church is so big in Poland.
Yeah.
So a lot of those things they coincide a little bit.
Okay. I do want to dig into Dyngus Day
Dyngus
because
Day.
I've grown up knowing Dyngus Day is a thing because I'm from the Buffalo
Yeah.
area, and that's just like it's a national holiday in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And I knew it was weird. Like I knew you hit people with pussy willows and stuff, but then I started looking at it for this podcast, and I was like, oh my God, it's weirder than I thought.
Yeah. It is, and it's called in Poland, Śmigus Dyngus, which I think is it's a great name. But it's the Monday after Easter, and it's kind of like the signaling of the end of winter, beginning of spring, and this like celebration of like now Lent is over and we're moving into spring, and like people would get like doused with water, and like the pussy willows came in, and it just like
so you'll like go through like it's kind of like flirting, right? Like you'll go throw water on the guy you like.
So
and,
like on Mondays the boys would get the girls all wet and then Tuesday the girls would do the same thing to the boys, but it's such a weird tradition, and it's not something that Boston ever does, and no other communities do it.
And
I was talking to some friends, and one person was like, we should bring this back, and I was like, okay, like sure, I think we could maybe, but it is like, I think you're saying Buffalo, like South Bend, Indiana, like the Midwest, I think, and like there's some people I know that live in Florida, and there's like a bar that does it, and they like have like water guns, and they just like spray people down with water guns.
What is the hitting? Like, what is that all about? Just
I think it's just, I don't know, actually, the whole story behind it. It's
about a saint, right? I think it's like related to some saint. Maybe the saint of hitting.
Yeah, I think pussy willows often signify spring, the coming of spring, because those are like the first things that kind of come out, and that's how I kind of understood it.
Okay.
So it's more kind of thing tied like the beginning of spring, and like winter is over, let's,
hit each other.
And a lot of weird Polish customs are also tied to like a lot of pagan traditions.
Yeah.
Like there's one that just recently happened where you drowned a doll in the water. The Winter Witch.
You're a violent people.
I know. And you're supposed to like drown the witch in the water to like signify the coming of spring. And that's like an interesting one.
Okay.
It's just like people walk around with these like effigies of, a doll made of straw or whatever, and they just like.
So do they create the doll for this?
Yes.
Or do they like go steal their daughter's doll and drown it?
No, it's usually like a kind of like a straw doll that's just sort of made, and they carry it through the village, and then they like drown it in the water. But I was like, I don't think that we do that here.
But you're very welcoming in the Polish Triangle, is what I think the story.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
We're not going to get hit or drowned or water thrown on us. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what does, I guess, like this has been, like to your point, this has been where people migrated to for decades, maybe longer. So what's different about it today? Like how have maybe the Polish traditions kind of evolved?
Yeah, I mean, I think, a lot of what happened was you had all that migration, late 19th century, then World War II, and then when we had the fall of communism in Poland and around that time. And what happened is individuals would come, people would assimilate, they would intermarry with different cultures and, Italians and Irish and whatever, and then people would start to migrate out of the city, right? They were able to afford to purchase homes and larger homes, and it was sort of this like upward mobility that sort of everyone comes when they're immigrating to a new place. It's like making a better life for themselves, right? So I think that's kind of what happened, right? People would come in, they'd have good jobs, they'd make money, and said, now we're ready to kind of move out.
Okay.
And that's kind of what happened to my family too, right? Okay. Everyone came here. My grandparents settled here. My mom went to, high school here, got married. And it's like, okay, now we go to the suburbs. We always come back because this is, where we lived, and my grandparents still lived here. So it was still like a tie for us. But I think that's what happened with a lot of people.
Okay.
And so you're not seeing migration. Obviously you're not seeing immigration from Poland as much. So I think the neighborhood is kind of gentrified a little bit. You still have Polish families that come in, and people that come, especially on the weekends, like the stores are full, the church. There's a Polish language school for kids on Saturdays where kids can go and learn the Polish language, which is great. My older daughter goes. And so a lot of people kind of come back in for those kind of cultural experience or a way to stay connected. But what we're seeing a lot too is, particularly with the club, is that a lot of individuals are second, third, even fourth generation,
Okay.
and are wanting to reconnect with their culture. Right.
And this is it, like in higher volumes than in like past generations? you
Yeah,
think?
I think so. I think people are often, I think we're just like a more worldly people too. And I think people are looking for like wanting to learn a foreign language or like connecting with this part, or they had maybe a grandparent has passed and they're like, oh, I kind of miss these things and I want to kind of reconnect a little bit. So we're seeing a lot of that, which is great for us as a club because we're able to kind of bring in new people and really have individuals who are kind of wanting to stay involved.
Yeah.
And we've had to evolve over time too with how we do so much stuff.
Well, tell me more about what the club does.
Yeah. So basically we're a civic, a social organization. We're a 501c7, so a social club.
Okay. So it's like similar to what, the Legion? I guess the Legion is more like veteran focused.
Yeah, kind of along those lines.
Okay.
Right? A social club. We, we have membership. We have a constitution. Folks can become members, pay annual dues, and then we have meetings once a month to talk about governance, and then do a lot of programming, as much programming as we can. So. We'll do a little bit of that, and then just also having a community space. We have a nice big hall upstairs that people rent out. People don't have to be Polish. Anyone from the community can come and rent out the space, and then we have like the bar, like lounge area downstairs. That's pretty fun. So we've really had to change the way we sort of operate and defining what we are as an organization, right? For many, many years, women could not be members of the Polish club. And that, obviously has changed.
Progress.
I know. It's wild. But we had some, people in our leadership. This was probably in like the early 2000s. I think that they kind of were like, if we don't do this, we're not going to be able to sustain. But, back when my dad was a member in, 70s and 80s, 700 members, man.
Wow.
Like wild. And
in the Polish Triangle. That's like
just
everybody.
at the club.
Yeah, but that's like everybody who lives in that neighborhood. That's not that big of a neighborhood.
It's not, but I think that's the density of like the Polish people that were living there is like, literally I was talking to my parents today and like everyone on the street was a Polish family. And they're they're 3 family houses. So you think every floor has a Polish family. You have an entire city street.
Right.
So there's like a density of folks, and then people obviously come in if they're living in other areas to come to the meetings. But we really had to define like who we are in this like new. You're not going to have people coming from Poland and becoming members. Right. You're going to have individuals like myself who have Polish-born parents but grew up in the U.S. Are a heritage speaker, so I spoke Polish at home. Okay. But those kind of individuals are who we wanted to start to bring in. Yeah. And that's what we've seen. So.
And what about the Polish American Heritage and Community Foundation? What is their purview?
So that kind of happened because of our tax status with the club. Okay. We were like, we wanted to have a 501c3 that individuals could donate to and be able to have that tax deduction. It gave us a little bit more freedom as to what we could do with funds that were coming in. So that's kind of where it sort of originated from. And from there, we've been able to raise funds for a number of different things with the community. We partnered with Jaju Pierogi, like a women-owned business, to launch a scholarship for Polish American women that launched in 2022. So we've been doing that for the last couple of years. Polish Fest Boston, which has been happening for over 10 years now. We took a little bit of a break during COVID. We weren't able to have those like large scale events. And then we've done some bricks for the Pulaski Memorial, which is located right next to our building. So there's a lot of things that we've sort of been doing in that space, but having that 501c3 kind of that status has been
gives you a little more flexibility.
Yeah, exactly. So people want to make the donation, then we can allocate. They say, I want this money to go to this. Like we have the Polish Club does a big kids Christmas party every year, so people sometimes would donate to that. Like I want these funds to go to support the party. So it's great. Yeah.
I want to talk more about Polish Fest. Yeah, because it sounds really intriguing.
So fun.
I think I'm generally Irish. I'm not fully Irish, but I've got a lot of Irish. I think Polish food beats Irish food.
You know what? I think a lot of food is very similar. Like it's all the same. It's a lot of potatoes, a lot of cabbage. Yeah. But yeah, Polish Fest is our largest event that we do at the club. Okay. It started in 2015 with another organization that has since disbanded, so we kind of absorbed it, but it was always hosted at our location. And like I said, we took a little bit of a break because
it's at the club itself.
It's at the club. Yeah, we're able to close down the street
Very nice.
And make it like a really cool like street festival.
Nice. What time of year is this?
It's in May.
Okay.
So we were doing it early May, around May 3rd, which is Polish Constitution Day. But then we found out like it gets really, the weather was sort of iffy.
The weather's iffy at the end of May as well.
So over time, it's sort of like gotten later and later in May.
It's going to be in July. So.
Yeah. And this year it's May 31st.
Okay.
Sunday, May 31st, we're going to have it. And it's an opportunity for just to get together with the community and also just our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Too, the Polish Triangle is a neighborhood of, yes, Polish individuals, but so many other people that aren't Polish,
right,
but live in the area and enjoy coming to the club. And it's like, hey, we're going to have this great street festival.
Yeah.
And come, and we have Polish music, polka music. We have the Polish Krakowiak dancers will come.
Okay.
We'll have, culture displays. We'll have obviously Polish food and beer. And so it's like a really
Sounds
fun.
like a great time.
It's great. Yeah.
How many people usually come out for that?
Estimating probably like 800 to 1,000 people.
Okay.
It's hard to know because
Yeah.
it's a street festival, so like the weather's great. I mean, we're packed.
Right.
And it's nice because we're able to close the street right in front of our building.
Yeah. What street is that?
It's on Boston Street.
On Boston,
Like
okay.
right across from the Fortress.
Yeah,
So
okay.
like you drive there and it's like that like little section that we're able to close, and we have vendors and stuff out there.
And
on
that's
the
a
street.
nice walk from the train. That's not bad.
It's like
right?
6 minutes or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I think it's super easy. You just like walk right over the bridge and you're right there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
May 31st. I'll have to
Yeah.
bookmark it. What is your favorite? What's your favorite food?
Oh, pierogi.
Yeah, same.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. I think that is the staple for, I think, every Polish household. There's a really cool dish. It's called kopitka.
Okay.
It's basically like if you think about gnocchi.
Yeah.
So it's like a potato-based dough, and my grandmother always used to do it with like fried breadcrumbs and butter.
Ooh.
Delicious.
What are the restaurants that you would recommend? Are there multiples there? Is there
No,
just one?
Cafe
Okay.
Polonia, yeah.
Okay.
It's the only one.
That is well known, though.
It is well known. It's
Yeah.
been around. It's been on Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives. It's, and the guys that are running it right now doing a great job. And, they're able to do catering and stuff like that, too. But it's a
Nice.
great spot. And I think if you go, the best thing I would try there is pickle soup.
What?
Yes. Sounds weird.
Yeah.
But I think everyone who tries it is like, wow, this is really good. And the other one is żurek, which is like a sour rye soup.
Okay.
It's traditionally kind of around this time at Easter time. I mean, you can eat it any time, but it's really popular at Easter.
Yeah.
Those are probably like the two best.
Okay.
That are
Pickle soup.
pickle soup.
I will give it a try.
Highly recommend. Want to know what you think about it?
I mean, I think that it's really nice to see like people embracing these roots
Yeah.
and like kind of resurging Polish culture here. I guess talk to me about like kids. You've got young kids.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
They're learning the language.
Yep.
And you speak the language.
I do.
Do people speak the language around? Like, do kids speak it in the neighborhood to each other?
No, not really. I
Okay.
think because most of our children are going to English-speaking schools,
Yeah.
right? And for a lot of kids, and I see this when I drop my girls off at a Polish school, the older one. A lot of kids are from families that have that are like theirs, right? You
Yeah.
have one Polish-speaking parent and one non-Polish-speaking parent.
Okay.
But I think what the really interesting part is that those individuals are really trying to like, I want to give my kids this experience
Yeah.
so that they can learn to speak Polish. Like, do I think my daughter will ever be fluent? Like I am? Probably not, right? It's
Okay.
hard. I grew up, my grandparents didn't speak English.
Yeah.
My, parents, obviously, we spoke Polish at home largely, but my parents had been here they immigrated, they were like 11 and 14, right? So,
Yeah.
they had gone to school and whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of mine was just osmosis from being around my grandparents.
Okay.
But yeah, so there's a lot of kids like that
Yeah.
that have that. But I think it is a driver for a lot of people. Like, I want to be able to have that like connection.
Right.
And so that's great, I think, for my girls to be able to hear it. I try to do it at home. We try to watch maybe some television.
Okay.
Dubbed television, like kids programs, like
Okay.
Bluey and things like that. Like you can get it dubbed in Polish and stuff. So
I like
it's-
to do that with kids' books that I've
Yeah.
read before, like
Yeah.
Elephant and Piggy in Spanish.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know that word.
Yeah, and there's this woman we found on YouTube, Pani Sylvia, who
Okay.
is basically Miss Rachel.
Nice.
So if you have like little kids and you know who Miss Rachel is, she's basically the Polish version of that,
Okay.
and teaching kids like baby language
Yeah,
basically.
right.
But she's on YouTube, and so I found that, and so my little one is like, okay,
How old is she?
she'll be 3.
Okay.
and then my older one's 7.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. what are the challenges for the Polish Triangle? I know you mentioned they moved here a lot because of cheap housing.
Yeah.
I would imagine that's not quite the case anymore.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I think, I think gentrification and is happening all over the city. And I think every large city you go to, you probably see that a lot. So I think that people, if they're coming here, they're not going to be necessarily settling necessarily in this area. But they're still coming here because that's where they can get the foods that they like.
Yeah.
And they can connect. And, if you want to go to Mass in Polish, you can do that. If you want to send your kids to Polish school, if you want to come to the club.
Are there like grocery stores or like bodegas that are?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
okay.
DJ's Market has been around for, I can't even, they've been around for decades. It's a legacy business. They were recently designated a legacy business. So that's always, quality. Euromart is on Dorchester Ave, and then Baltic Deli, which is right across from Cafe Polonia.
Okay.
Those are like the three big stores.
And you can go get like authentic Polish food that you could.
Polish foods, like, from Poland,
nice.
Pickles. I mean, like every kind
pickle
of.
soup or no?
I don't know if DJ's does pickle soup, but the restaurant for sure does it. But like dry goods and, Polish flour and bread and like all kielbasa and all the things that I think people really enjoy or would like about it, that kind of ties them to their culture, right? I think food ties a lot of people to culture, and Polish people are no exception, right? You're like, our worlds revolve around food and things like that. Yeah. So I think that, people come and they're going to go and buy, what they need from those stores, and you'll see it around holiday times. It's like packed. Or Christmas time, packed. I know, because everyone's getting all their goods to make, pretty elaborate meals. Yeah. Particularly around Christmas time, for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you would want people outside of the Triangle to kind of do to help support the Polish community? Are there, maybe coming to Polish Fest, but what other things could they do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hit people with pussy willows?
And spray them with water as they walk down the street. I think, supporting things like Polish Fest. We always have sponsorship opportunities for folks who want to sponsor, and the sponsorship starts at $100.
Okay.
So we're not talking about like large, all the way up to $5,000 or more if people want to donate. But so families can make donations, individuals can make donations, and that helps us just sustain those, the cost for that event. Coming and going to the businesses, right? Yeah. There's also, in the fall, the church does Dożynki, which is their harvest festival. Okay. So that happens right in the parking lot, like right across the street from the church, and that's their big sort of, festival. They have tents. It's very similar to Polish Fest, but it's like around the harvest time, around, fall time. Yeah. So
kind of the bookend of the...
Exactly, right? They have Dożynki, and the club does Polish Fest in the spring, and so we're kind of just like work... Yeah, collaboratively for that. So, but that's also good. And then just the Polish businesses, go to Cafe Polonia, like sit down and like have, we're having actually at the club on April 9th an all-you-can-eat pierogi and kielbasa tasting. Oh wow! To support the scholarship that we have through the foundation
for the Polish school.
No, it's for the women's scholarship. Okay. So with Jaju Pierogi, we started a scholarship in 2022. And that all you can eat is Jaju Pierogi is going to come, make pierogi. You buy a ticket on Eventbrite, come, all you can eat. Wow. Pierogi and kielbasa. And it's a night at the club. Yeah. But like things like that, right? I think that individuals, want to come and support. And, people can come to events that we have. We post, like tomorrow is a big soccer game for Poland. Okay. If they win, they get into the World Cup. Okay. So I think people can come and watch that. Yeah. Yeah. Is there an Instagram or a Facebook that people can follow? And so on Instagram, Polish Club is Polish Club BOS. Okay. And then the foundation, we have Instagram as well, which is just the PAHCF. Okay. Polish Fest is Polish Fest Boston. Super easy to find us, and we have websites and the whole thing. But yeah, anyone wants to follow us? Awesome. Yeah.
You are fluent in Polish.
I am.
Do you want to take us out in Polish? Tell everybody thank you for listening.
Okay. Dziękuję bardzo, which means thank you very much. Żeby miałam czas rozmawiać do ciebie o temat polski klubie, polski Polish Fest i Polish Triangle. Dziękuję bardzo.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Erica.
On the spot, yeah.
So great to meet you. Thank you for coming in and talking about the Polish Triangle.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
Have a happy Dyngus Day.
Thank you. We will.
Hi, I'm Yasser, and I am usually behind the cameras. Today I'm covering for Aaron. This is Tiny Dot Concert, and I'm here with Gimmick. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
So tell me about the band. Tell me a little bit about how you guys got together.
Well, we've been playing together for, what, like
4 years?
4 years? And I think it'll be 4 years in February?
I think so too, yeah.
Yeah. And man, how do I put it? We do a lot of actively not trying to play to genres or anything like that. It's at least in my head, when we started the band, the mindset was we are going to play whatever the hell we want and y'all can deal with it. Which I find really fun. I mean, there's a confidence that comes along with that. It just seems so boring trying to play to. People can describe our music in however many ways they want. That's fine. That's cool.
Yeah, I found a little bit that there is like you guys use scat in there is a little bit of jazz in there. It feels like there is maybe even a little bit of blues somehow, right? But it's also completely like rock, right? Like so a little bit of punk too, maybe just a little bit, right?
I mean,
it's really cool.
All three of us we come from very similar but different influences. Like, I mean, Michael, you tend to listen, aside from just your childhood history in music, you tend to listen to a lot more heavy stuff than either John or I do. John, I know, like, you're a big city pop guy, you're a big disco guy, and I came up in, like, jazz funk. And I think the fact that we all three of us independently wear our influences very openly on our sleeves is part of what makes the collaboration so much fun.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and like you're saying that, and his outfit completely represents what you're talking about, right? And meanwhile, what is the band on your shirt? What's that?
This is my design.
Oh, that is your design.
yeah.
Wow, that's very cool. Is that your band logo or band just a design from?
Just a design.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's very, very cool.
Critter Mill?
That's awesome.
Yes,
plug that.
my brand is Critter Mill.
Okay, so tell me more about that.
I do art and started the brand finally, and I've been doing all the art for Gimmick. So
That's awesome. Where can people find you?
Crittermill.com.
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 Okay,
Crittermill.com.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Thank you very much.
Why don't you continue just using that voice for the rest of the podcast?
Sorry, I'm leaving the band. I found a new calling as an overdub guy for voices.
Fantastic. Where are you guys from?
I'm the closest to local, I guess. I grew up on the North Shore. I grew up in Melrose, and then lived in Peabody through college, and then have just lived in JP since 2017. So
I'll challenge you on that and say, grew up in Somerville, lived in Arlington.
Oh, right.
Moved to Brighton, and I live and I'll die in JP.
God damn.
Very cool.
Bold.
I forgot. I thought you spent some other childhood time elsewhere.
Abroad?
Yeah, in other parts of the country, but that's
No?
clearly I'm a bad friend.
The more you know.
I am originally a Florida man. Take that as you will. I've been here for 13 years now. I got kicked out of Florida because I was too Florida man. Not really.
Makes
Not
sense.
really. I don't
Yeah.
want that taken the wrong way.
Don't worry.
I'm sorry. I'm here.
He's
did
too
it
woke
again.
for Florida.
Do you guys have any shows coming up?
Yeah, we have a really exciting 2026 coming up. We took a lot of 2025 off to work on our album Scrunch and just kind of group together and just like really hunker down and figure out like what we're doing and just like develop stuff like that.
Good plug for the album, by the way.
Thank you. And then for 2026, we're going to be playing on a few radio shows. We're going to go head out to Western Massachusetts and play a few gigs out there. We're kind of taking January and February off just to kind of take it easy after we just had our album release party and this and, just kind of hibernate for a little bit. But starting in March, you can follow us at @gimmick_the band on Instagram, and we will have a plethora of gigs in different locations.
That's fantastic.
Good vocabulary, too.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're crushing it, John.
Well done. We've talked about the art. We've talked a little bit about the future of shows. And can you tell me a little bit? I understand that you guys come from different backgrounds. Can you tell me actually, like, what do you listen to? right? Because he singled you out as completely listening to something else. So.
I'm basing that on the conversation you had with a friend of the band, with Brian, about some of the heavier stuff that you guys listen to, and with John Blank as well.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I was an emo boy. I was into the emo scene, early 2000s.
Bright Eyes and
My Chemical Romance, The Used.
yes.
Blink-182. It's kind of
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, it's
That's very cool.
love like the Morris Volta. I'm very much into that. I pull a lot of.
And
inspiration
so,
from
what
it.
are you listening to now? So that's your background.
I'm listening to way too much Queens of the Stone Age lately.
So valid.
We've had to cut him off.
Yeah.
Hey, speak for yourself. I think literally last time you drove me to practice, we were like, I think we were bumping some stuff from Songs from the Deaf,
Yeah.
or Songs for the Deaf in your car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I play Queens of the Stone Age very quietly around them to see if they catch on. Do you only listen to this?
Subliminal messaging.
Yeah, secretly very low mixed in the entire album is just all of Songs for the Deaf. So low you can't hear it, but it's there, trust me.
Don't sue us.
Or do Josh Homme if you want to reach out. Like, hey, that's a way.
You know what? I'm gonna have it dubbed over your head, just at the minimal levels. Yeah, I'm doing it.
Perfect.
Cool. And how about you? Tell me what you listened to growing up, and then what are you listening to now?
So I came up as like one of the early like children of piracy on the internet, where I would go on to these threads online that were just like share threads where it's here's an artist, here's the album, here's the link to download the album, and I would just get everything. So as a teenage insomniac in the summer, I would stay up until 4:30 in the morning listening to like this Japanese produced Italian rap album that I think I sent to you, John.
Yes.
And I would just take walks around Melrose at 4:30 in the morning listening to whatever the hell I could get my hands on. And then, of course, I'm a monster and I became a fish head.
Okay.
Like right
see
now,
that.
I've been really like digging back into Jim O'Rourke. I love his really experimental stuff, but like the early 2000s stuff where he got 2 albums of like brilliant Baroque pop,
Yeah.
Insignificance and Eureka, are just absolutely brilliant albums that I've just been on repeat for the last like 2 months.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then I guess growing up, I really kind of focused in on, people will know this, Oldies 103.3. That was always on in the household or in car rides. So a lot of Motown, a lot of Beach Boys, a lot of Beatles, a lot of that kind of melodic but also grooving stuff. And then as I got older, kind of focused more on dance music. ABBA is amazing, Chic is amazing, Bernard Edwards is probably my favorite bass player. And then, yeah, I feel like that's what I've been listening to lately. Also, our friends over at Talk Chalk just released a new album, and I've been listening to that, Dance and You Shall Receive. And then our friends over at In Use just released a new EP too, and I've been bumping that lately.
You have 3 songs planned for us today. Is that correct?
Yeah. As John mentioned earlier, we've got an album that we released on, it was what day? The
December 4th.
December 4th. The album is called Scrunch. It's available just about anywhere that you can listen to music. So we're going to be playing 3 songs from that album today.
Can you tell me a little bit about those songs? Who's the lead on writing them, you know?
These are, I mean, they're from the, let's say, the first wave of Gimmick songs. So this is stuff, these 3 specifically are ones that I had initially brought to the band that we then, over the course of like, I think all 3 of these, we had like 3 years of really hammering out details and making sure, like turning it from a skeleton into like, it is our music. So it's going to be Bones, It's Good, and then A Different Breed of Cat, which was one of the singles off the album.
And when you say, you know, we're hammering out the details and taking a skeleton and turning it into our music, so what is that like for you guys? What is that process?
I think that, like, you know, if Jack brings a song to the group, I think that we kind of flush it out as a group, and I'll be like, hey, like I actually don't think this part works, or like maybe we should do something here. And Michael will also bring that. And like same when I bring a song to the group, like I'm looking for feedback. And like the thing that's like so exciting about this band is like it's not just kind of like here's a song I wrote. It's not like Jack is fully leading or Michael is fully leading or I'm fully leading. Like it's like here's a song and like how are we going to play this together, and like what does it sound like when we all play the song. And like there are often times like we're working on new material now, and like I've come up with a few things, and like by the time we're all kind of have our fingers in that pot, like it's a completely different song, and it's a better song, or like it's just in a more gimmick direction. It's really, yeah.
And to yes and off of that, which I think that's kind of the philosophy of our songwriting style when we're all collaborating, is it's the old improvisational comedy or just improv in general of yes anding. When we are creating something together, like you've had songs that you've brought to us and I've had songs that we've brought to us, and Michael, you got to bring some songs to us, my
It's
friend.
coming.
Hell yeah.
They're all in Florida.
Yeah. Oh no. Someone save them. Get them out of there.
Hey,
A Florida man has brought you the song.
Don't tell anybody.
But I mean, at least in my estimation, the stuff that I have felt the most attached to is the stuff that I'm thinking specifically of something like Rome, which is the last track off the record. That song started with John bringing 2 quick bass lines to us, and we spent probably like a couple weeks working on just that, on making that into what turned into this multi-part, like what I consider the cornerstone of the record. And that was really one of the first songs that I felt was truly like it can only be described as our song.
Yeah.
And the idea of the yes anding in that context is, if I bring a song, or if Michael brings a song, or if John brings a song, we are hearing what the person bringing the music wants to make that song sound like, and we all we sort of take it as our jobs implicitly to how do we make this sound just like John heard this in his head as he was writing it in the first place. And like when we can do that, and even when like Bones has a moment before every chorus where we bring everything like right down, and that was something that was totally a John idea. That's like, I remember in that practice I was like, oh no, this song is now finished.
Well, and also that we have been playing that song for 2 years up until that point.
Yeah.
And like to have that room to be like, wait a second, I want to actually focus in on this, and like wait for that moment to strike, rather than like, like I think you brought a finished song, but then to have that mobility within our playing to be like, what if we change this, and be like, oh yeah, this worked out great.
I think that's another thing too, of just, I really appreciate how willing we are to just, we are willing to try things. And that's something that I think, if I can get on my soapbox here for a little bit,
Absolutely, please.
I think a lot of musicians are scared to fail, and they have a tendency as a result to play it extremely safe.
Yeah.
And I feel like there are so many musicians, especially in Boston, where we have so many of the best young musicians in the world coming to this city to learn. And they'll leave the school that they've been studying at, and they're all playing the same. And it, like, I know you have a voice in there. You just need to be okay with failing.
You got to bring it out.
Yeah. And like we've played shows where like we just don't get a reaction. And that's fine. Like that's part of the deal. And no matter what, in any performing art, you are going to perform in front of a room that could not give less of a damn that you exist.
Yeah.
What you do after that is how you grow as an artist.
And kind of piggybacking off this conversation is I'm wondering, what do you guys see? So one of our goals with doing this, the Tiny Dot concert, with doing the Dot Life podcast, is to, showcase and bring more information to local communities. And like, there is a need, right? Like there isn't a Tiny Dot concert that's happening here until we started this, right? What do you guys see as a need in Boston in general?
I think it's like we have such an amazing scene, and there's so many things happening. There are so many shows. There are so many house shows. Like I hosted a backyard concert series in my backyard last year, like
All summer long.
all summer long. Like there's just so much music, so much different music out there, and I feel like the thing that is most needed is kind of buy-in from the greater community of like, yeah, there's amazing music here, there's amazing people here, like the scene is really good, but like if you go to like O'Brien's on a Tuesday, like you're not gonna have walk-ins off the street who like trust enough in the music being good to just like spend that $10 on a cover and be like, I don't know who any of these acts are, but like I'm gonna go in and try it out. And like something that's lacking is just like that kind of buy-in of like, I'm just gonna trust that this bill is gonna be good. I don't need to know people in the band to go see music. Like I just go and see music. And like it doesn't have to be at like MGM Music Hall. It doesn't have to be at like House of Blues. Like it can be at these smaller venues. Like if you see a flyer on the street, like take a photo of it and just show up. Like I went to an amazing New Orleans blues show a few weeks ago with the guys singing in Creole, and I was like, I would never have found this without like, you know, like stuff like that is happening.
It's not just the audience that I think should participate more in that cultural buy-in, but I think the musicians themselves and the people running these shows, words cannot describe the disappointment that I have felt when the three of us have been the only people in the room watching an out-of-state band at a show that we just played at. It hurts. It hurts me even not being the person on the stage. And I think there is, much like there is a lack of trust in the shows that are going on, I think there's a lack of trust of our peers that each other's music is going to be good, and a lack of trust from promoters that the music they're promoting is going to be worth promoting. And I don't have any kind of solution for that. That's more of a symptoms of a larger situation, I think.
Yeah, I moved to Boston in 2001, and the vibe has always been in Boston that, like, we're like, I don't like people, right? And it's mostly because we're cold all the time, and we have to trek 45 minutes to go to work, and then 45 minutes to get back, sometimes an hour each way, and we never know, right?
Uphill in the snow,
we're
both
guessing,
ways
yes,
barefoot.
exactly, right? Like, and I think, like, that kind of creates this environment of just, like, you know, I'm in my head, I'm in my zone, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and that's it. And then suddenly, like, if I really peek my head out, right, there are shows that are happening. There are, right, if I walk into a random place, I may find something absolutely fantastic. That is something we're trying to bring more to Dorchester as a whole. That is our goal. How many bands are you in right now? Because drummers are, I know, you guys are everywhere.
I got in trouble for being in too many bands. I was in two, but now I'm just in one.
Oh, you guys have locked him down.
We've locked him down, yeah.
Don't you dare leave.
With these guys, I mean, I feel like we just speak the same language.
Mm-hmm.
I've played music for most of my life, and I've been playing with Gimmick for a year and a half now.
Closer to 2 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're going on 2 years.
It was like
Wow.
spring of 24.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I joined these guys and immediately kicked it off. I mean, the first time I came in to play, sit in to fill in for the old drummer. Great drummer, by the way.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
it was really interesting for me because I came into this and it was just something that I always wanted, but I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
And then when I found that,
Yeah,
but these guys, it just clicked immediately. And the cool thing for me was these songs were already written, like all the songs on the album. But it was really fun for me to be able to take that and turn it into my own thing. And it really, I feel like it did change the feel of these songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
it's just so much fun.
What do you think the shift has been for the band?
I think it's more energetic,
Mm-hmm.
probably more upbeat, more energy. I am known to play kind of hard, so I think that also changed the dynamic.
Yeah. I made them turn it up. But
Yeah.
Can you guys tell me a little bit about where you guys can be found online? And so I know you're saying that it's everywhere, but can we be a little more specific?
Yeah, we're currently on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, Deezer, Tidal, Cubose, we're on a Korean streaming service. We're on.
Wait, that's buck wild.
We're on a couple international streaming services. It's truly. Oh, and on Bandcamp too.
Yeah,
Probably on pirating websites as well by now.
You'd hope.
I love that.
I mean, by the time I'm done with this, we'll be on every
LimeWire
pirating
still
website.
alive?
I want to say it might be, but almost as a bit.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like how someone bought the rights to Enron, and now they're like running a yeah. Yeah, I think the Bandcamp thing. I also, unfortunately, we live under capitalism, and we must adhere to its whims. The best way to support us financially is by buying the album on Bandcamp, as far as that goes.
I really like your drum set. It's super tiny but also huge in sound.
I actually bought that to play in an apartment, my last apartment, because it was a tiny apartment, and I ended up carrying it around for gigs because it was easier to get around than my full-size drum set. And I don't think I've ever been at a show where somebody did not say something about my small bass drum.
It's so cool.
Well, usually drummers are like, "Do you got another bass drum in there?" It's like, no.
Yeah, when I'm booking out bills and like constructing them, I'm like, hey, just so you know, the bass drum is gonna be. If you want us to backline drums, it's gonna be a 12-inch head on there. Do you want to play with that?
14, John, 14.
Sorry.
I would love to hear you guys play. You guys prepared to do that for
I think
us?
we can do that.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
So,
Michael, you gonna play the drums?
there's like an instrument over there or something. We could do that.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
What's up, everybody? We are Gimmick. We're gonna play some music for you. Ready, boys? Yep.
Cancerous growth, symmetrical velvet, tools of war, status symbol, buzzing horn. What doesn't kill makes better body armor. I'll break a hydraulic press. Let's not mind the racetrack. And if I was an insect, hollowed out, evolved for flight. Flexible, sturdy, strong but light. Uncensored process, convex test. Creates that gorgeous grasp. Unless, 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 unless.
So that last song was called Bones. This next one is It's Good. Both are on our recent album that just dropped called Scrunch. It is out literally anywhere you can think of, probably on the side of the street somewhere too.
Familiar contours of the sidewalk outside home, ring-shaped stains underneath a half-full glass, the rotation of a giant hunk of dirt, adjusting the blinds to just the perfect angle, a wasted year sleepwalking, ain't it nice to be awake? A wasted years sleepwalking, ain't it nice to be awake? The crunch of gravel at 6:30 every afternoon, bits of conversation on the air. A kid imagining someone running with the car. The same show playing every night. A wasted years sleepwalking, ain't it nice to be awake? A wasted years sleepwalking, ain't it nice to be awake? And if I die, came back to life, the first thing that I do is learn to love it all again. If I die, I came back to life, the first thing that I do is learn to love it all again. The smell of warm food and coffee in the morning, or petrichor as I fall asleep. The passive choice to not do evil, a cat scratching at the bathroom door. A wasted years sleepwalking, ain't it nice to be awake? A wasted years sleepwalking, ain't it nice to be awake?
And once again, we are Gimmick. My name is Jack Kiley. This is John McGinley. And this is Michael the Machete Macheri.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Michael's mom. And hi, my mom, too. She'd be pissed if I didn't say that.
Hi.
Let's just do cat.
Yeah.
All right. This last song is called A Different Breed of Cat. It is, like the other songs on our album Scrunch, available everywhere right now. Reach into your back pocket. You'll find a copy of Scrunch in there. I swear it's in there. I swear it is.
They'll make a U-turn just to keep you guessing. Even if it takes a whole day. 'Cause when music, they move in serpentine. Their sentences don't make sense. They don't know what they mean. Woo! They're a different breed of cat. And if that's not for you, then there ain't no helping that.
We will continue to be Gimmick. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Dot Life, which is available on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. Dot Life is produced and edited by me, Aaron Caldwell. Technical and editing support are provided by Yasser Mahmood. Additional support is provided by the Dorchester Reporter. Thanks to Erica Stocks, Bill Forry, Seth Daniel, and Gimmick for joining this week's show. We would love it if you could share, subscribe, rate, and review the pod wherever you listen. If you are interested in supporting the podcast, visit .lifepod.com for more information.